Yo, yo, what's happening, bro? This is your guy, A to the D, the NBA contributor for Behind the Curtain. Now, today we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but unfortunately, the guys will not be here as of right now. Hopefully, they join us later on, but if not, I will be riding solo today. So, now let's get 1 second. Let's get directly into our throwback player, ladies and gentlemen.
It's your monthly subscription to the Slums Edition. The new it was written. Get your hard copies of Blockology coming from the one who lived in a bowl for goldfish. I never sell my soul, just evolve shock rap. That what you never been told shit. Cold part, Illmatic all through that episode of Ozark. I think that's harder than if I had co-starred a ghetto symphony. I'm Chief Keef Kozart, mixed with Mozart. It's ill when you get bags for your own art. $1 million sink for algebra or rap. But they ain't understand it when it drop, yo. How cold is that? They asking if I'm ever gonna be over rap. But I left a few times, just never told you that. Amassing digital assets, no fiscal year kickbacks, yeah, we cash in. Physical money think different, we outlast them. We outclass them, they made it easy to pass them. I love this feeling. I just keep it calm, watching it all play out like it's supposed to. Old dudes playing chess in the park, old dudes playing chess in prison. Stay on good behavior for extra visits. If they was to switch places, could you tell a difference? It's perspective, isn't it? A team that's militant, a down
All right. That's right. We're gonna give it up for none other than Kevin Johnson, one of the premier point guards during the '90s. He was Andre Miller without the hops, though, because KJ could jump, and KJ could definitely get you buckets. He wasn't a great assist guy, but he could definitely get you buckets, and he could most definitely get you buckets, crossover, assist, pretty good passer, but it's more so his ability to score because he can literally score on anybody at any given time. Let's run down his stats real quick, ladies and gentlemen. So he played from 1987 to 2000. He played for two teams, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who drafted him, and he was wound up traded to the Phoenix Suns. He three-time All-Star, four-time All-NBA second team, All-NBA third team, most improved player. He averaged 18 points a game. His career scoring was 13,000 points, averaging almost 9 assists a game. Finished his career with 6,000 assists, 1.5 steals a game, almost 1,000 assists. Shot 43% from the field. He shot 31% from three. Now, the thing with that is they weren't really shooting three-pointers heavily during that time, so I can understand why. But he did shoot 84% from the free throw line. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give it up for none other than Kevin KJ Johnson. He was also one of the premier guards. He gave the Bulls some problems in the beginning, and then they switched it, and the rest is history. As you guys know, that the Bulls won that series. That was the same year that Charles Barkley said, "Yeah, God told me that we were going to win the NBA Finals this year." But unfortunately, they did not. But Kevin Johnson was one of the premier guards during that time, and I think he doesn't get enough recognition. So, you know what we do? We give those players recognition that deserve it. Now, let's get directly into our first question of the day. So, what teams do you think are going to move up and down in the standings? Well, as of right now, we have a couple of teams that can fluctuate up and down, especially the Milwaukee Bucks. And as I last looked, they were currently beating the Boston Celtics by like almost 20. So Milwaukee can legit go from 2 to 6 depending on if they win or lose this next game tonight. But as of the way things are headed right now, Milwaukee is up by almost 20. So I would assume that they were going to win that one. So there will be 2 games up on the Magic, Knicks, Cavs, and the Pacers. So one team I think will be moving up is the Knicks or the Cavs. One of them 2 teams are definitely going to be moving up. And I'm also, you got to pay attention to the Pacers. I mean, not the Pacers, 76ers too, because 76ers right now are at, they're up big up against the Pistons. So if they win that game, that'll put them at 46. And the last I checked, the Raptors game, the Pacers were down. Let me check to verify that again. So I'm going to go. So the Pistons are still getting blown out. I was looking for the Raptors. Yeah, the Raptors, the Pacers are winning that one too. So it's legit going to come down to the last game. But the team that I could definitely see moving up is probably going to be either the Cavs or the Knicks. And they both have 46 wins as compared to the Bucks who have 47. They'll probably get their 48 tonight. So those are the 2 teams I feel like that'll move up in the East. Now in the West, that's a different ball game. So now right now you have the Clippers at 50 games. Then you have Dallas Mavericks at 48 games. Right now they're blowing the doors off of Charlotte. So it's a strong, and I mean a strong possibility they'll be at 49 wins for the season. And then right behind them, the Suns, they're 3 games back, or 2 games right now. But if the Mavs win, it'll be 3 games back. And also the Suns are tied with the Pelicans at 46 wins. But the Kings are sneakily right there in the 8th spot with 45 wins, along with the Lakers at 45 and the Warriors at 43. So between the 5th through 9th, I'm going to say, it could get pretty ugly. Them teams are going to fluctuate. But the team I think that is going to potentially move up is going to probably be the Sacramento Kings, because I think they're playing the best ball as of right now in the West. I think that if they can muster up a couple more victories, let me check their schedule real quick. So they have the Kings playing right now. They're playing against the Thunder. Then they play the Pelicans, Suns, and the Trailblazers. So they could possibly, if they win tonight, don't know if they could beat the Pelicans, but they have an opportunity to beat the Pelicans. The Suns is going to be another good game, but the game I definitely know they can win is going to be the Trailblazers. So they should possibly go 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna say 2 and 4. I mean 2 and 2 to finish out the season. I definitely think they could go 2 and 2 to finish out the season. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight race coming down the stretch, but I definitely think that they can pull those out. Now going back to the schedule with the Mavs, who are in a really good position. I think I gotta go back to the Suns schedule real quick. So the Suns, I think, I'm gonna find out right now. So the Suns have the Clippers on the 9th, which is tonight. So the Suns and Clippers play tonight. Then they play again in LA. So the Suns and Clippers play 2 back-to-back games. Then they play the Kings, and then they finish it off with the Timberwolves. So the Suns don't have any favors going down this stretch right now. And I think that that's going to be a potential problem for them, because as I'm looking at it right now, the schedule is not favorable for the Suns. So I don't know how they're going to finish out this season, because they're going to have to beat the Clippers twice, the Kings, and the Timberwolves. All of those are teams that are way, way, way above 500, and they're going to be supreme problems. So I think, just me rationalizing it, that the Suns might go 2 for 2, if not 1 for 3 in this last couple games. So that could potentially knock them out of, what is it? Then 6th place? Yeah, that could potentially knock them out of 6th place with the Pelicans. I just think that right now, the team, I think Phoenix can move up. I definitely think Phoenix can move up out of all the teams that's there. So now we're going to jump, because let's think about this for a second. If the Kings move up, they could potentially take the 6th seed, right? So right now the Kings are 45 and 33. The Pelicans are 46 and 32. The Suns are 46 and 32. That's a lot not really a lot of ground to cover, but if the Kings can push it up, because I don't foresee Phoenix finishing in sixth place. I think they either going to be 7th or 8th place by the time it's all said and done. And they probably going to match up with Minnesota in the first round. That is definitely going to be a matchup if the Suns fall to the eighth spot. That's going to definitely be a matchup. But the Suns have to be careful because the Lakers are right there as well. So the Kings and the Lakers are right there with 45 wins, and that could potentially be a problem to push the Lakers up a game or two if they can. Let's see who the Lakers play, because the Lakers just lost to the Timberwolves last night, and so they play the Warriors tonight on TNT. Then they play the Grizzlies, which should be a win. Then they play the Pelicans. I don't know. So it's gonna. Yo, I'm loving this. This jockeying for position in the West is going to be something serious, because looking at their schedules, it's literally probably going to come down to the last game of the season. And because of that, you're going to have to expect some things that's going to take place, which more than likely I can foresee. I know people don't want to hear this, but I could definitely foresee the Lakers getting to that 6th spot, because because Phoenix is going to drop, because that schedule is tough. Them last 4 games are tough. Sacramento can position themselves up a little bit more. But the Pelicans and Lakers are literally, I think they had the easiest schedule going down the stretch. So the Lakers play. Okay, so the toughest game they're going to play is probably Golden State tonight. Then they play the Grizzlies, which should be a win. And then they finish it out with the Pelicans, which should also be another win. So the Lakers could potentially end out at, let's see, the Lakers could finish their season at 47-35. And that will be enough to put them as of right now, that would be enough to put them in the 6th spot, as opposed to Phoenix, because I don't think Phoenix is going to win all 4 of those games that they have come down the stretch. You play the Clippers twice, the Pelicans, and the Timberwolves. That's a tough 4 games. So I can see them dropping at least 3 if not all 4 of those games, which would literally slide them out of the 6th spot to either potentially the 10th spot. The 9th spot, because Golden State is not going to do anything. Even, let's check Golden State schedule out. Yo, this is the best time of the year. I love this time of the year. All right, so the Warriors play the Lakers tonight, and then they finish it up with the Blazers, which should be a win. The Pelicans is going to be tough, but then the Jazz should be another win. So they should win at least 3 out of the last 4 games, I'm going to say. So if they can win 3 out of the last 4, that'll put them at, 40? I think they have 43 wins. So that'll put them at 46 wins. 46 wins and 36 losses. Granted, depending on what happens, I'm telling you people, depending on what happens with Phoenix is going to determine a lot. If Phoenix can win these last couple games, then I think they're going to be in good shape. But if they cannot win, they got to win at least 2 of these last 4 games. But that schedule is so tough for them down the stretch. Playing the Clippers twice, they might get them once because it's back-to-back. But then you have to finish with the Pelicans and then the Timberwolves. And Karl Anthony Towns is scheduled to come back. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be tough for them. So those are my teams I think that's going to move up. In the East is going to be either the Knicks and the Clippers. And in the West is going to be, I think it's going to be the Lakers. I think the Lakers are going to move up potentially to the 6th or 7th spot, as opposed to right now where they are in the 9th spot. So I'm saying the Lakers are going to move up to either the 6th or 7th spot, and the Cavs and the Knicks are definitely going to be moving up. Which team do you think will coast through the playoffs? Well, that's kind of a blanket statement in regards to coast through. I think every team is going to have a type of a challenge going through the playoffs. Nobody ever has a cakewalk going through the playoffs. But I do think because Boston is in the East, if Boston can get past that first playoff series against either either the 76ers or the Heat, who always seem to give them problems for some reason, I think Boston can make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think the toughest challenge is always that first challenge against the Heat. No matter whenever they play the Heat, it's always the toughest matchup is the Heat for some reason. Can't put my finger on it, but it's always that tough matchup for them. So I think Boston has a legit chance of like kind of coasting, depending on if they play the Heat or not. But I will say that the West is going to be a toss-up. I don't think anybody's going to be able to coast. Let me rephrase that. I think Denver can glide. I'm not going to say coast. I'm going to say glide through a couple rounds of the playoffs. But I think they're going to have a little bit of challenges in there because they don't essentially have the same team that they had last year. But I do think that Denver has enough because they have the experience and they've been there before to repeat and get back to the Western Conference Finals. At bare minimum, I can see the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. But as opposed to that, I do think Boston, as of right now, Boston has will have the easier road to get to the conference finals. Now, it's legit up to them whether they can sustain that or not. But I think the Celtics have the easiest road to get to the finals, in my opinion, because every team in the East you could pretty much beat. It's just a matter of them putting it together to beat those teams. They do this every year, and I can promise you this: if they don't make the finals this year, I can promise you either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown is gone. I'm telling you right now, if they don't make it to the NBA Finals, one of them two are gone. Because you can't keep having this is going to be 6 or 7 years now that they've only been to the finals one time. And they keep saying, well, they're young. I get it. But at some point, something has to change because you're not able to get over the hump to essentially win the championship or essentially get into the finals, the conference finals. The goal should be to get to the conference finals, to get to the finals. They've only been to the finals one time. And the Miami Heat have been a couple times. I'm just saying. There will be a breakup if Boston and Celtics do not, mark my words, if they don't make it to the finals, and potentially if they make it to the finals, they're good for another year too. But if they do not make it to the finals, NBA finals, trust me, they're breaking that team up because you're not going anywhere with the team if you're not winning games. Like, it just doesn't make sense. All right, now, so who do you think is the scariest team in heading into the finals? I mean, the NBA playoffs right now. My personal pick, the Dallas Mavericks. What Kyrie and Luka is doing right now, oh my goodness, is out of control. Like, they are out there balling out. I think the other night they said the two of them scored 82 or 85 points together. To me, that is the scariest team because you don't have two guards that can play the way that they play. They can distribute the ball like they can rebound the ball like they can get the ball out like they can score like those two can. Like, you don't have that on the team. But what you do have are other teams that have capable players to play that way, but you just don't have those type of players. Like, you don't have a Kyrie and a Luka on every team and it's headed into the playoffs. So you got to figure out a way how to stop them. Correction. You got to figure out a way to slow them down. You're not going to stop them at all because Kyrie and Luka are way, 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 way too good for that. But what you have to do, or what you could do, is try to slow them down to not necessarily a snail's pace because you're not going to do it. But you got to try to limit the amount of points that they score because if you can, then you have a higher chance of winning the games. So that is, to me, is the scariest team heading into the playoffs is the Dallas Mavericks. On the East, I don't really have a scary team because they're all kind of blending in together right now. But if I had to pick a team, I would pick the Orlando Magic only because they're playing like nobody's business right now. And because of it, I'm saying that if they keep playing the way that they're playing, I don't foresee it being they're going to make it at least to the second round of the playoffs this year. If they can make it past the first round, I think they're going to make it to the second round. But obviously, if they make it past the first round, they're going to the second round. Duh. But what I'm saying is, if they can make it past the very first playoff match, I think they had the potential to make it to the past it. Depending on matchups. Let me say that. It all depends on the matchup. So whoever matches up with the Magic, I think So right now it would be 3-6. So it'd be Magic against Orlando. I mean against Indiana. That's going to be a good matchup. That is a great matchup for both of those teams. They kind of mimic each other in a sense. So that will be one of the better matchups that I see in the East, and I like that I want to see in the East. So if I had to pick a team in the East, I will go with the scariest team heading into the playoffs would be for me to pick the Orlando Magic. I like the way the Knicks are playing. It's unfortunate that Julius Randle will be out for the remainder of the season because I didn't think he was going to miss the rest of the regular season. I thought he was going to come back, but I guess he was like, nah, forget it. We'll just have to wait till next year. So that's unfortunate news. And Donovan Mitchell has been in and out of the lineup for the Cavs. They definitely need him in. Joel Embiid is returning to the play right as the playoffs are about to start for the 76ers. So that's another good thing. The Heat, Jimmy Butler, that's all I can say. He's going to always keep them in contention no matter who he's going up against. And I think that's the problem with the Celtics. I think it's something about Jimmy Butler that the Celtics do not want to see. I'm just being honest with you, because there's always some foolishness that happens when they play against the Heat. I don't understand it, but it does. So right now, that will be the scariest team I would pick out of the East would be the Magic. And all of these teams are it's kind of almost like the West, but it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as jumbled in a sense like the West is. It's kind of, but not really. Only because it is because if the Bucks win tonight, which I think they were up by almost 20 still, so then that way they'll still remain at 2. Then the Magic will have to win the next couple games because they're already a game behind, and they'll be 2 games behind at this point. So, matter of fact, let me look at their schedule real quick to see who they face. All right, so they playing the Rockets now. Then they play the Bucks, 76ers, and Bucks. Yeah, that's going to be tough coming down the stretch. That's going to be real tough. So out of the 4 games that they playing, they've played, I was trying to see if they had this. Okay, so right now they're getting blown out. So tonight is a wash. So because of it, they're not gonna drop unless, let's see who was there. So they're gonna drop to 46-32. I don't think the Knicks play tonight. I think the Knicks play tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken. So all of those teams from 3 on down are going to probably flip-flop a little bit because the Pacers are winning tonight, so they'll probably go up. The Magic will still be there because they are 46-32, so they'll be 46-33. Philly is going up because they'll be 46-35. So it's going to be funny to see this last week of basketball. I can't wait. I really can't wait because these games are going to actually mean something now, but they're going to really mean something. All right. So which team do you think will get swept in the first round? Okay. So we're basing it off of today, right now. So if I had to guess right now, so you have Boston, Miami. I don't think that's going to be a sweep. You have Bucks and Philly. Don't think that's going to be a sweep. You have Magic, Pacers. That's going to be a sweep. Then you have Knicks, Cavs. We've seen that sweep happen already. So there's a strong possibility if it stays the way that it is right now, the Knicks could potentially sweep the Cavs again. I'm just being honest. I think that will be if I had to pick the sweep, I think that's going to be the sweep, the Knicks and Cavs. It's a really bad matchup for the Cavs. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense, but that's an extremely bad matchup for the Cavaliers. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the series where you had to get your brooms out for, and that's the series that gets sweeps in the East. Now in the West, if we go down through the West real quick. So as of right now, so 1-8 is Minnesota versus the Kings. No, I don't think so. 2-7 would be Denver and New Orleans. It could potentially, but I doubt it. 3-6, Phoenix and OKC. Definitely no. 4-5, Clippers and Mavericks. I can see the Mavs sweeping the Clippers. No, I'm just joking. I can't see that. In the West, I don't foresee a sweep in the West anyway. Especially the way things are lined up. If I had to pick one, I could potentially see Denver sweeping the Pelicans. That would be the one matchup I could potentially see as a sweep. Would be those two. I mean, that series right there. Remember, we're talking about right now. If the playoffs was to start right now, again by Saturday the 14th. Friday actually. You'll know every matchup. You have the playing games. You have everything situated by then. But as of right now, I can see Denver sweeping the Pelicans because the Pelicans too up and down for my taste. So I don't know what consistent Pelicans team you're gonna get. With Denver, I see my consistency night in and night out. So out of the last 10 games rather, Denver is 7-3. Out of the last 10 games, the Pelicans are 4-6. Too up and down for me. That's why I say I can see the Nuggets, if that's the matchup in the first round, I can see the Nuggets potentially sweeping the Pelicans out of all the teams in the West. I'm gonna put my finger on this right now. If Minnesota and the Kings play in the first round, that is going to be one of the most epic series that's going to be. You have De'Aaron Fox playing. You have Anthony Edwards playing. Potentially Cat Williams playing. Sabonis. There's a lot of quality matchups in that series. And that is the series I'm most definitely looking forward to. Is that one. I hope and pray that series stays. They stay in 1-8 because I definitely want to see that in the first round. This will give you an opportunity to truly see. The reason why I love the playoffs so much is because you really get the opportunity to see how good to great these players are when it comes down to it, because they literally are putting these teams on their back and they are literally showcasing their skills individually and letting the world know how good they really are. That's why I love the playoffs, because if you have a star or quote unquote superstar, he will show up in the playoffs. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because that's why they pay those players the big bucks, because their job is to make sure that they win round after round after round. Now, granted, you can't predict it, how it's going to play out every single round, but given the circumstances, I can easily see why these players are paid that amount of money, because of what they are able to do. So pay attention to Anthony Edwards in the playoffs. Pay attention to De'Aaron Fox in the playoffs. The superstars of these teams, make sure you pay attention to them and see how they play. Because granted, I'm going to say this, for the most part, they're going to have takeover games. Now, they might have a game of 1 or 2 games that are bad, but for the most part, they're going to have outstanding games throughout the playoffs. That's what superstars do. And that's why I love watching NBA basketball during the playoffs, because it gives you that opportunity to see these great players and the reason why they're great, because of the things that they can do in these circumstances, game in and game out. So please, Minnesota and Kings have it in the first round. That's all I'm asking for. But the sweep of that Western Conference, I'm going to say it's going to probably be the Nuggets and the Pelicans. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I'm kind of wrong sometimes, but I doubt it. Not in that one. I think I'm going to be okay with that one. All right. So now that Karl-Anthony Towns is coming back, can the T-Wolves hold off the Nuggets for that number 1 seed? I think they can. I think Minnesota has, 4 games left, if I'm not mistaken. So they're playing the Wizards now. Should be a win. They're going to play the Nuggets on tomorrow. So that's going to be a close game, I think. And then they play the Hawks, and then they finish with the Suns. So they should beat the Wizards tonight. And then they play the Nuggets. So they could potentially be playing the Nuggets for the number 1 seed. And then they play the Hawks, which should be another win. And then they ended out with the Suns. Depending on what they do against the Nuggets, I think will determine what they will do against the Suns. Because if they beat the Nuggets and they beat the Hawks, I don't foresee them playing any of their starters for that Suns game. I think they'll win the number 1 seed in the West. It'll be a great feat for the team if they can pull it off to become the number 1 seed in the West, because that's tough. That West is extremely tough. And for them to be able to pull out the number 1 seed, yeah, I think that'll be extremely tough. And even still, after the last 10 games, the T-Wolves are 7-3. Like they are hooping, like they're good. And then Karl-Anthony Towns is scheduled to come back, And I got a chance to watch them again last night against the Lakers. And they was up 20 on the Lakers, let the Lakers come back. And then it was like all of a sudden, Anthony Edwards was just like, okay, it's go time. And he just took over the game. And then before you know it, they was up back, I think, 10 or 12. And that's how they finished the game out with defense and Anthony Edwards. And they got Nas freaking Reed. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get that opportunity to watch the T-Wolves play this year, pay attention to Nas Reed. This dude gets buckets. I understand why they gave him that contract, because this dude can literally light it up. He has the most unorthodox shot that you've seen, but as Joker goes in consistently. That's why it gets me hyped when I see players like him where they have the opportunity they're given and they take advantage of it, because sometimes people don't or players don't. But this dude is literally taking advantage of all his playing time. And so it's only going to help propel the Timberwolves once Karl Anthony Towns comes back. Nas freaking Reed. Remember the name. Now, if you're not paying attention to the T-Wolves, pay attention to Nas freaking Reed. The dude is pretty good. It's unfortunate that he's coming off the bench. I mean, that he was coming off the bench, but now you can see his true potential, because Karl Anthony Towns isn't there right now. So, with that being said, I think the Nuggets won't have enough to make it, because I don't know. That's going to be tough. They might not have the opportunity. So, right now, the Nuggets, they're playing the Jazz right now. They got the T-Wolves, Spurs, and Grizzlies. Okay, so with those two, they can still drop. If they win tonight, they can still drop the T-Wolves game and beat the Spurs and Grizzlies, and then the Nuggets will be the #1 seed. So essentially, Minnesota can't afford to lose right now, because they're both tied at 54 wins. And any game that Minnesota drops, I don't foresee the Nuggets dropping at all. The true test is going to be tomorrow night on TNT, on ESPN, when they're going head to head, because that game is going to determine who's going to have the #1 seed. So if the Timberwolves win tomorrow night, they're going to be the #1 seed. If the Nuggets win tomorrow night, they're going to be the #1 seed. And it's just that simple. And that's why essentially they're fighting for is the #1 seed, because you got to think about it. If you can get the #1 seed, you typically have a lighter schedule per se in the first round, because the AFC typically isn't that good. But this year, that AC could be the Kings, the Lakers, or the Warriors. Kings, or it could be the Pelicans, Kings, Lakers, Warriors. Because remember, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are in the play-in game. 7 plays 8, 9 plays 10. So the winner between 7 and 8 moves to the 7th seed. That other seed, the 8th seed or 7th seed who loses goes and plays the winner between 9 and 10. And there you have it. And then the winner between 9 and 10 plays the loser between 7 and 8, and that'll be your 8th seed. And whoever that team is going to be, oh my goodness. Now, this is a question I really want to ask the audience right here. I know you probably can't respond, but I wish that you could, because it would help me out a whole lot. What do you really see the Warriors doing? Do you think that it's over for the Warriors? Do you think they should just go ahead and quit and be like, I'm done? Or do you think that they should legit try to get in the playoffs and see what they can do again? Because personally, I say, as long as you're a champion, I want you to keep on fighting until you can't fight anymore. And then that's when it's time to break it up. But the way that it's structured right now, do you really want to see the Warriors in the playoffs? Yeah. I want to see Steph in the playoffs. But given the circumstances, I think that it can go either way. I think it can go the Warriors, Lakers, Kings, Pelicans. Out of those 4 teams, who do you really want to see in slots 7 and 8? Okay. I can promise you this. The Lakers are going to be in there. The Lakers are going to be either 7th or 8th. I promise you that. What did Denzel say? I stand on it. I stand on that. I can firmly guarantee you there's no way on God's green earth that they're going to allow the Lakers not to make the playoffs. Not happening. So now it's only between 3 teams, which is the Pelicans, Kings, and Warriors. And the Warriors and the Pelicans had a little rivalry. Not the Pelicans. The Warriors and Kings had a little rivalry last year. So I kind of want to see that matchup again. So don't be surprised if you see but I can see the Kings beating the Pelicans. I can see the Kings beating this is right now. Friday is the end all. But right now, the Pelicans, I can see the Kings beating the Pelicans. And then the Lakers are gonna beat the Warriors. I'm telling you people now, do not be surprised if the Lakers make it into the playoffs. Do not. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They can't afford to have their cash cow not in the playoffs. They're gonna do everything within their power to make sure LeBron is in the playoffs. Just mark my words for it. Mark my words. He's not gonna be at home. He's not gonna not make the playoffs. It's not gonna happen. But that's what I was just thinking about. I was like, yo, they're gonna figure out a way how to get him in the playoffs. Now let's jump into with Cat returning, will this help or hurt the Wolves? Personally, I think it should help them because they've been playing so good without him. But you're going to need him because he essentially is your star or superstar, however you see fit. He is the guy that you need on the court because he's going to be the one to get the calls. He's going to be the one to go to the free throw line. He's going to be the one to be able to get away with a lot more than other players would on your team. So that's why essentially that's the importance of having stars on your team because the stars are going to get the calls at all costs. They're going to always get those calls, especially in the playoffs when you need points the most and when you also need momentum and stuff. They can help generate all of that stuff. And he has to be on the court. Now, will he mess up the chemistry? He might. But they've been playing good without him. So when he does go to the bench, whenever that may be, he has the opportunity to go back in and showcase his talent some more. Because one thing I don't like is when we watch these players throughout the whole year and then they get hurt and they don't have an opportunity to play in the playoffs. That's essentially why we watch the game of basketball, to see these guys in the playoffs, because that's where you make your money. It's in the playoffs. And when you're not there, that's why it was so important for Embiid to get back so he can help his team in the playoffs. With Karl-Anthony Towns, he's able to, hopefully be back and be able to make some sort of impact while his team is in the playoffs. Now, if they could get a first-round sweep in the playoffs, that'd be great because that'd give them more time to rest before they go into the next series. But if they aren't able to, then that could be a bit of a problem. But as of right now, I'm going to go out on a limb and be like, hey, I think he's going to help them come back. I think they're going to need him, especially because he's a star. You always going to need your stars to be there because your stars are what's going to make your team better. And they're going to help out a whole lot. And with him not being there, they're still winning. But with him there, it's going to be a lot better because you're going to have Gobert, Towns, Anthony Edwards, Michael Conley, and I forgot the other guy's name. Shoot, why does his name slip my mind? The shooting, is it McDaniels? I think it's McDaniels who starts. It's either McDaniels or I think it's McDaniels. I think McDaniels is the one that starts. Yeah, I think it's McDaniels starts. So you have Gobert, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels. That's what I said. I don't know why I was getting them too confused. So it's Conley, Edwards, McDaniels. It'd be Gobert, and then it'll be Karl-Anthony Towns when he comes back. So right now they have Naz Reid starting with Rudy Gobert, which is not a bad lineup at all. And they're getting it done. Like their coach should be, hopefully he's being mentioned as coach of the year, especially if they win the #1 seed. That'll be a phenomenal job he's done if they got the #1 seed going into the headed into the playoffs. So right now the Knicks are winning as usual. So the Knicks will probably be 47-32, and they'll jump over the Magic. Yo, it's gonna be a lot of jockeying these next couple of days, Jack. So every morning you wake up, make sure you go and check your standings. That's right. Karl-Anthony Towns will help the T-Wolves get back on track. Not back on track, but he'll help them get on track. And I think he will be able to contribute right away because they can definitely use his scoring and they can definitely use his rebounding and defense. And he can also push that big man out because he can shoot threes. And then if you come out too far, he's going right to the basket because a lot of those cats aren't fast enough to catch up with him to get to the basket like he can. And he's going to play good, solid defense too. So I think this is nothing but going to help the Timberwolves in the coming up future with them. Now, I was watching the 76ers play right before I came on, and I watched Joel Embiid playing, and the dude, like, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. But the dude is always falling down on the ground, like constantly. And you just like, yo, is it what is it? What is causing you to always fall to the ground? So I'm watching this one play in particular. They're trying to throw him a pass so he can make a move in the post. So the guy's at the 3-point line and he feeds him down in the post, but he overthrows him. So Embiid goes to run after the ball. And as he does, he kind of stumbles and messes his knee up. And then he falls, of course. And then he goes, ah. I'm like, you just returned. There's a possibility you're going to be out again. Now the question is, do you sit him for the rest of the season until the playoffs start? Because that's a huge gamble that you're taking. So like right now, they're going to be 46-35 because they're going to win tonight. Well, they won tonight. So they're going to be 46-35. The Pacers, I thought, was winning. Oh, shoot, I must have missed it. But I thought the Pacers was winning, if not won. So then the Pacers would be 47-34. And then the 76ers would probably still be in 7th place. So do you take the risk of continuing to play Embiid? Or do you like, hey, we're going to chill out. We're not going to use them until we get into the playoffs? Because either way it goes, they're gonna be battling the Pacers, Cavs, and Knicks, and the Magic because they're one game. Literally, the 76ers are one game. So you probably won't rest them because you're trying to avoid being in the playing game. That's all you want to do is avoid being in the playing game because you know for a fact that 2 games your season is done. That's why you're trying to avoid the playing game at all costs. No matter who you're playing against, you want to avoid the playing game because it's one and done. So if you lose, well, depending on your seed, if you between 7 and 8, you got 2 chances. But essentially, you're one and done. You don't want to take those chances for your season. Like you lose 2 games, your season is done. Depending on if you win that first game or not. And if I'm Philly, I'm trying everything in my power to get that 6th spot at all costs because that way I know for a fact I'm in the playoffs. And if I don't get it, now I gotta really think about how I'm gonna play this out. But as of right now, Philly is tied with the Pacers. Let me see. I think the Pacers did they win? Because last I checked, they were winning, but that was a while ago. So, so the Pacers did wind up winning. So that's going to give them another game up. So Philly's going to be a game behind again. So they might can catch the T-Wolves. So they might can catch Cleveland. Well, they can essentially catch anybody. If the right team loses the right amount of games, anybody within that fricas can be caught. But I'm just so leery about Joel Embiid because I just think that like anytime he falls, I feel like he's going to get hurt. And what I watched tonight was when he like slid towards the baseline and fell down, he started grimacing with his knee. And I'm just like, man. And as much as he falls, like you just don't know if he can continue because that's one team that's definitely going to need that big man. I love what Tyrese Maxey is doing right now. He's scoring off the charts. He's killing it. But in order for them to really be something, Joel Embiid has to play. Because if Joel Embiid does not play, it's going to be super tough for them to go anywhere without him. Philly has a good team, but they have a great team when Embiid is there. Now, when he's not, I get it, but he has to be there at all times because to me, he's the difference maker for that team because he can open up so much for Maxey. Because there's nobody, and I mean nobody, maybe De'Aaron Fox can check him. But other than that, that dude is way too fast for anybody. That ball touches his hands, he's gone. Now he got that step back 3 where he literally takes 2 steps back and pull. Like he's unguardable. And it's not fair because The dude literally can do whatever he wants to do on the court, and he's fast enough to get to the rim, plays solid defense. Like, he hits threes, he got that floater, he got the little jump shot. Like, he literally can do everything. And so in order for him to be as good as he is or needs to be, he needs to have an Embiid there with them so they can go a lot further with both of them as opposed to just one of them. And I think Joel Embiid has to play from here on out for the rest of the playoffs until they get eliminated. And there's no other option with that, because you got to think about it. If Joel Embiid does not play, how is Philly going to do anything without him? Like, that just shows you how great Joel Embiid is as a player, because they can't move or go that far along without Joel Embiid. They need to have him at all times. And so I think he had I want to say he had 30 tonight. That's what I want to say. Let me make sure I don't want to say anything wrong. Then y'all be like, you gave up the wrong. No, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure all my numbers are accurate. My man had 37. Yeah, man, granted, it was the Pistons. He still had 37, 12 of 22, 9 of 10 from the free throw line. Like, you need those numbers, and he can provide those numbers on a consistent basis, because he can always get the ball in the post. He can dribble past most centers, get to the bucket, score, get and ones. He knows how to draw fouls. He plays solid defense. Like, he's the quintessential big man out there that can do essentially everything that you need him to do, even sometimes take charges, which is rare for most big men nowadays, because they're not trying to do that. But this dude, he has no problems with taking charges. And so for that, I think that they have to have Joel Embiid out there. As long as he's out there, they got a chance. Philly got a chance. And right now, let's see. So right now, they'll be 46 and 35. The Pacers going up to 47 and 34. So it's going to literally come down to the last game between them two. Between, should I say, the Magic, Knicks, Cavs, Pacers, and 76ers. You just don't want to be that team in that 7th or 8th spot. You do not want to be that team. Trust me. You don't want your season to come down to one series and you're like, yo, what happened? 1, 2, 3 Cancun. You don't want to be that guy. Or rather, that team. All right. So we get ready to wrap this up for the day. But this is a question that I've been having on my mind for a while. Do you think that a woman can coach in the NBA? So I forgot her name. Lindsay. She used to play with Duke. What is her name? Yeah, I'm so mad because I remember Googling it. Lindsay, was it Harden? Well, anyway, she coaches the Sacramento G League affiliate, right? And she helped them, to one of the better records in the G League. And so because of it, I think she won, if I'm not mistaken, coach of Lindsay Harding. I thought that was her name, Lindsay Harding. So she won, I think, Coach of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. So my question is, do you think that it's time for a woman to be a head coach in the NBA? Because Charlotte Hornets are taking the necessary steps to interview her for that position of becoming a head coach. Now, I'm pretty sure that they're going to receive some blowback for it, because that's the nature of the beast. That's what you have when you do something different. That's not the norm. So anytime you step outside of the norm, it's always be questioned. It's not going to always be liked. And so because of it, Charlotte literally has a chance to do something that no other organization has ever done, as far as I know, which is actually have a female head coach in the NBA. This will be one of, if not the biggest things that will happen in Charlotte, besides MJ buying the team at the time, is her becoming the first female let me make sure that she's the only one that ever coached in the NBA. Because they can have an assistant step in, and coach the team for the rest of the game because, the coach got ejected or whatever. First woman to coach a professional men's basketball team, the Texas Legends at the NBA Development League. Yeah, so I don't think there's been an actual head coach an actual female head coach. I know there have been assistants. There are a lot of assistants, but I don't think there's been an actual head coach that ever coached a team in the NBA. And so I think that will be, I don't know. I don't know what to think, because just like with, okay, just like with NBA refs, I didn't know how it would look in the NBA, but I'm sure that they're like any other refs. They get talked about, cursed out about, like anything else. So I don't think it's much of a problem. I would just hope that the team she's coaching respects her, because as long as they respect her, nothing they can say or do. So it would be one of the best things that happen if it does happen. And again, you're gonna receive blowback from it because it's a woman into a male dominant sport. So they're gonna get blowback from it, and there's probably gonna go up in ticket sales or go down in ticket sales, one or the other. But for the most part, I say why not? Try it. I mean, if you look at Charlotte over the last 15, 20 years, they haven't done anything anyway, so why not try something new? I know it's kind of a gimmicky thing, but what else have they done over the last couple of years besides nothing? So how much would it hurt? Now, if you could bring in, okay, so if you could bring in a great college head coach, cool. Because the head coaches of today can relate more to the players of today, no problem. But you can't have those old school coaches with these new school players. Unfortunately, it does not work anymore. Those days are long gone, ladies and gentlemen. So if she can relate to those players in today's game, I say go for it. Because she won Coach of the Year, so she's doing something right, whatever that is. I've never seen the game. Excuse me, I've never seen any of their games, so I don't really know, so I can't speak on it. But what I can say is she's having some type of impact on the players that are playing for her. So for that mere reason, I would simply say that, if worst case scenario, why not? Like, why not try it? Because to me, all the coaches that you brought in there up until this point haven't done anything. Like, when was the last time the Charlotte Hornets was in the playoffs? What, Lonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson? Or when it was the Bobcats? Because it's been years. Charlotte Hornets' last playoff appearance. Let's just check this out. I'm just really curious. Okay, so they're saying their last playoff appearance was 2015, 2016. So they lost 4-3, and that was 2015, 2016. So that's almost it was 8 years ago that that they were in the playoffs. And who was on that team? Al Jefferson, Frank Kaminsky, Jeremy Lamb, Courtney Lee, Jeremy Lamb, Kemba Walker, Marvin Williams, Cody Zeller. And so they lost 4-3 to the Heat. So that's 8 years ago. So I don't know. I just think that if you can be the first to do something, why not? Because right now, unless they could potentially hire another head coach or assistant head coach from a winning organization, let's say, like, because I know they were interviewing the guy from the Celtics. I think his name is Charles Lee, one of the assistant head coaches. And it was another assistant head coach they were interviewing for that position. But I mean, I don't know. I say why not try it? Why not? Like, you're gonna get blowback anyway. Regardless of who you hired, you're gonna get blowback from it. So why not hire a person who you think can get these guys on the right track? Now, this is one thing I will say. Whoever the Charlotte Hornets hire, you have to give them an opportunity to change the franchise and turn that thing around. You can't expect it to happen within 1 year. You got to at least give them 2 to 3 years to try to turn this thing around. That's why, right now, I'm really high on the Pistons, because I think Monty Williams, he's implementing how he wants these kids to play. So come next year, they should be better than what they played this year. And hopefully they won't have as many injuries and have so many hurt players throughout the year, where they can show their impact. Because to me, the Houston Rockets is the format of the NBA right now. Ime Udoka got that team humming right now. That is one of the better teams in the NBA. But unfortunately, we won't get a chance to see him play in the playoffs because, again, they're still young and they didn't win enough games. But personally, I would like for them to be in the playoffs because they are a young and exciting team. So if any coach that goes to the Hornets, if they can relate to their players, I think for sure they're going to have a great opportunity to push the Hornets further. But it's all a matter of them, meaning the coach and the players, coming together. Now, I do think there's going to be a lot of changes this coming up season. One thing I know for a fact is LaMelo Ball will be back and Brandon Miller will be there. Those are the only two constants on that team. Other than that, everybody else is probably going to be gone because you haven't won anything. Like they haven't done anything. So it's almost like we might as well just start over or start from scratch because let's see. Hold on. I wanted to see that roster real quick. Because I know LaMelo Ball is still there because he's getting that kiss ass. So I know he's not going anywhere, which is good because they needed to lock somebody down. They needed to lock him down. They can't let him go. He's the best player they have right now because Brandon Miller, dog. So you got LaMelo making $10 million. Bertans is gone probably next year. Miles Bridges, he might be on his way out of there. Seth Curry's probably gone. Trey Mann will still be there. Village Mitchell, he might still be there next year. Brandon Miller's definitely going to be there. Krzyzewski, he might not be there next year. Nick Richards, I like him. Nick Richards has to come back. Grant Williams, I'm on the fence with because I thought he would be impactful for that team, but he has not been as what I thought he would be. Mark Williams, he got to come back. JT Thor, interesting right there. But I'm going to say he can come back. Nick Smith Jr., another guy who had questions coming out from Arkansas, who can shoot the ball at like nobody's business. But it's something that he's not doing to help produce because I thought he was going to have a better rookie season than what he's having. But the bread and butter on that team is Melo Ball and Brandon Miller. Those two are going to be their stars for the generations or for the future to come. Because right now they got Trey Mann as another point guard. They have Nick Smith Jr., who's another point guard / two guard. So that's two kind of smaller guards that you have right now. LaMelo is 6'5", 6'7". So LaMelo is going to be the point when he comes back. So they got a lot of pieces there, but they're going to move a lot. They're definitely going to move a lot of pieces. Cody Martin, I don't know. He may come back next year. But you still need some veteran presence on that team. Some guys that's been there for a while and know what they're doing. So like Nick Smith, I would give him at least 2 more years before I get rid of him if he hasn't changed. Trey Mann, I'm definitely giving him at least another year or 2 before I let him go. Marquise Bolden, that's another guy I forgot they had. So they have potential there. They're going to need to get I'm trying to think who because they need somebody to pair with LaMelo and Brandon Miller. They need somebody in the middle of that. If they can get a good power forward or a good center that can pair with them, I think they're going to be all right. Just me. Just the guy speaking. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the show. I greatly appreciate you all for tuning in. Your boy had to do this thing solo because the guys was on their missions. But you know what I say? It's no business like present business. And we did the thing and we made it through the day with just myself. So give me a round of applause. Give me a soup. Give myself a pat on the back. This is the first time and hopefully will be the only time I do the show by myself because it's hard to talk all this down by yourself. But we're going to do it again if we have to. Make sure you come back next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Behind the Curtain 6309. This is your guy, A to the D, signing out. Not 1, but 2. And y'all have a great, great night.